Good morning, everyone. It's 6 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It's Wednesday, September 4th, 2019, Hump Day. 62 degrees outside. We're looking for a high in the 90s today. And you lost your phone already?
No, you never turned it on.
I've got a red light on the phone.
I need to turn it off so I can turn mine on.
Well, all right. Well, it was ringing, and I turned it on, so... Well, Shane's got a tin can and a whatever string there. I guess.
Very good. Good morning.
So now you're on everything, right?
Yeah, and I went and interrupted a fourth week of great news weather announcing.
Yes. Okay. What can I say? I don't know, man. Well, Mike McCormick will be in today at 7. We'll be talking about the markets. They're going all over the place, halfway crazy. They were down 200 yesterday. They're up 200 today. So we'll check with Mike on what the heck is going on in the world. See, when I stop talking, you start.
I thought you were doing the weather. I'm sorry. I don't like to interrupt you when you're doing the weather.
Well, if I do the weather, I would say something. Let's take a look at our weather. I'd say something like that,
Listen,
possibly.
The market is going to respond to the fact that the Chinese look like they've capitulated because they've given into the extradition.
Law.
Yeah.
So the law. Yeah, in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So now that might be settling. We'll see. They're saying no, now it's all or nothing.
Yeah. Let's take a look at Gallatin Valley weather, shall we?
Okay, let's do this.
Let's do that. Well, it's going to be sunny, and this may be the first day we reach 90, Shane. They're talking about 91 today as a high, and light winds, and, it's supposed to be pretty nice today. Sunny. High near 90, 91, somewhere in that vicinity. Tonight, clear with a low around 54, light winds also. And then on Thursday, sunny with a high near 88, calm winds there. Thursday, we're getting a little rain, slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, then a chance of rain after 10 p.m. Mostly cloudy with a low around 57 and chance of precipits about 30%. On Thursday night. Friday, rain likely, mainly between 7 and 1 p.m., then showers likely, and possibly a thunderstorm after 1 p.m., mostly cloudy with a high near 77 on Friday. And the chance of precipits about 70% on Friday. And showers are likely again, thunderstorms as the cooler air moves in before 10 p.m., then rain likely between 10 and 1, and chance of precip there is 70%. So, and then we start really going down in temperatures. Saturday, we're going to be 30% chance of rain and high near 76, low of 49 on Saturday night. Then Sunday, rain likely, mostly after 1 p.m., high of 72. And then Sunday night, rain, mostly cloudy, 49. And Monday, it dips all the way down to 65. Rain likely again on Monday, partly sunny, high near 65. Monday night, 45 will be the low. And then on Tuesday, chance of rain, partly sunny with a high near 68. So we're getting into the 60s here, Shane, a little early for this time of year. Well,
yeah, are the leaves turning yellow yet?
Well, not that I've seen anyway, but you never know. We may have an early winter coming at us.
That's right.
Yeah. Temperatures around the area right now: Livingston's 54 degrees, Manhattan's 56, Three Forks is 54, and Gallatin Gateway is 63 right now. Wow, they're kind of nice and warm over there. 68 in Ennis. And Big Sky is 58, and Belgrade at the airport right now is 58 degrees. And at 10 minutes after the hour, we are right at 62 degrees here in our lavishly appointed downtown studios in the middle of Bozeman, Montana, the last best place on earth.
There you go, baby.
All
nice
right.
job.
Yeah. Our poll question, yesterday's poll question, do you think the 2020 election will be fair? Well, 50% of you thought no, voter fraud is rampant. 36% said yes, poll workers do a good job. And 8% had other comments, and 5% were undecided. Some of the other comments, the system is somewhat suspect. Yes, if we deny the ability of U.S. visitors to vote, and yes, if we have a system, voter ID system, or voter ID check, I should say. And today's poll question, if you want to get involved in that, which is the best chocolate candy? Which is the best chocolate candy? So you can go over to our KMMSAM.com and vote there, or on your smartphone at AM 1450 KMMS. The other thing we need to mention is we're going to give away football tickets on Thursday morning. Football tickets for the game coming up on the 7th, and we'll do them two different ways. We realize not everyone has a cell phone, smartphone, so we are going to give away some as we normally do. We'll take the 5th or 10th caller or whatever and do it that way. And if you have the app, if you have the AM 1450 KMMS app, all you have to do is go to our app chat and type in the word soapbox. And we'll accumulate those, and we'll pick a winner for 2 tickets to that way. And you and the 4 winners can all sit together, and you can talk about what a great show Tom and Shane have during the game.
There you go. All right.
Yeah,
we'll have a good time.
That should be good. So we're going to do that Thursday morning in the 7 o'clock hour. So be aware of that if you want to get a couple tickets to the Saturday football game here with the Cats and Southeast Missouri State, I believe it is. Southwest, Southeast, I don't know. It's somewhere in Missouri. Who cares? Who cares? It's some team that we're going to send. It's some team we're going to send packing with a loss. So there you are. From our text line, the best chocolate candy doesn't have lead in it. Okay, is there lead in chocolate, Shane? I had no idea. You would know.
I would hope not. Golly.
I don't think. I don't think there's. I don't know. Maybe it's a binder.
It could be. Could be.
That's why M&M's melt in your mouth, not in your hand. It's the lead. That's what makes it work. So, I don't know. Oh, this day in history, Shane, 1781, Los Angeles was founded by Spanish settlers. Americans couldn't find California.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
Or find Los Angeles, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, were the freeways under construction or what?
It must have been. It was a hard time back then. A quiet time. It was. Yeah, it's one of those things where you wonder what could have gone wrong. Well, what went wrong was that Chumash and the Tongva tribes that lived there were wiped out. Of course, they were indigenous people.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
It's one of those things that was a constant occurrence in the southeastern part of the United States and Central America, even South America.
Yeah.
But yeah, the numbers that are interesting about Los Angeles, as you mentioned, was it's the second most populous second most populous city in the U.S., 3.7 million people. But the scale, the size of the city, you always hear the adage, you can't get around Los Angeles without a car. Really? 468 square miles to the city.
Yeah, it's big.
And Bozeman's got to be 3.
Yeah, Bozeman, I think, is about 9 square miles. I think it's 3 by 3, roughly, something like that.
Yeah, so
the city itself, it might be, I don't know, it might be 10.
How far north would you have to go 468 miles to get somewhere from Bozeman?
Yeah, well, you'd have to go at least, 400 miles, you'd go to Missoula at least, or almost to Missoula.
That's Los Angeles, all that area between you and Missoula. I mean,
okay.
That's a big city, baby.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's 3.7 million people, and it's ranked first in California, second in the United States. And the demographics are across the board.
Yeah.
But it's
how many people?
3.7 million.
Yeah, it's got to have more than that.
Okay, well, that was the estimation in
Really?
2018.
Huh.
Maybe it's more now. 3,990,000 in 2018.
Because San Diego and Dallas used to go back and forth with 6 or 7 million, as I recall. Maybe a lot of people have moved out than a few years back, but I don't know. That just seemed kind of low for the second city in the United States.
Well, that's what's interesting when you look at the cities, like the top 10 cities in China are like 20 million people each.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah. They've got major.
Mexico City, or the capital of Mexico, is like 30 million people, and 12 million people or 12.5 million in London. And,
yeah, you think so?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But lots of space though for that number of people. They can't complain about that.
I'll be darned, huh? There must have been a ton of people moved out, because when I lived in San Diego, there was a lot more people than that. There's 1.3 million in San Diego now, so you may be right. So 1.4 million predicted for 2018, I guess. We'll see what the census says this time around. It could get smaller.
If you look at the skyline of LA in the downtown area,
yeah,
we have a bigger skyline in Vancouver than LA.
Oh yeah, they're spread out. They built out, not up.
Yeah, because of the earthquakes.
Yeah, they've got a relatively small little cluster of tall buildings right in the middle of it, and then
they got the Yakatomi Tower there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Luckily, Bruce Willis was around to save that place.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Except they're gonna need a lot of screen doors, but.
That's right. Exactly.
Anyway. That's a joke if you haven't seen the movie Die Hard. Anyway.
Exactly.
All right. 1888, George Eastman received a patent for his roll film camera and registered his trademark Kodak.
Yeah, 1984. It's really, this period between 1875, and 1900 was remarkable in the development of ideas and patents, and developed it to workable prototypes. I mean, it's sort of like the whole IT thing from 1980 to 2005, right?
Yeah.
Or that 25 years. So anyway, 1884, and he became a leading supplier in 1896 because he established the Eastern Kodak Company in 1892. Stock film for be internationally used because the movie industry was taking off, and they were doing shorties, where people would go in and to a place along a street where they go inside and drop a nickel into a machine and watch a 30-minute short or 30-second short. It was quite popular.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
The risque ones were a woman sitting. The risque ones was a woman sitting in her 1890 lingerie, which basically was.
Whoa.
We know what that.
Holy smokes, that's.
Yeah, that was big time stuff.
Well, only a year later, Shane, in 1889, Charles Dewell was the commissioner of the U.S. Patent Office. He widely quoted as having stated that the Patent Office would soon shrink in size and eventually close because everything that can be invented has been invented. That was his opinion in 1889. He was sure that it wasn't. We had reached the pinnacle of our success. We're not going to go any further than we are right now.
And that's why he got a government administrative job and didn't run a business.
Yeah. And I know that's pinnacle. I was a joke.
Yeah, I was being facetious because we sort of think the same, especially when I'm reading your lips.
That's right. Yeah. Norm Crosby used to do that. He misuse words all the time in his comedy act,
Of course.
If you remember Norm Crosby, but no one listening to us now does, I don't think.
Indubitably.
Anyway. Yeah, indubitably. Yeah. Well, in 1917, the American Expeditionary Force in France suffered its first fatalities in World War I, and you'll talk about that when we come back because we got to take care of the farmers and ranchers and everybody. We're running a little late here. So
all right.
Stay tuned. And we'll take care of our ranchers, farmers, truck drivers, cab drivers, Red Wing Shoes, podcasts, and more right after this. 26 minutes after the hour, Wednesday, September 4th, 2019, 61 degrees outside, looking for a high in the low 90s today, Shane. In 1917, the American Expeditionary Force in France suffered its first fatalities in World War I.
Yeah, amazing story. Real quick, it was the American Expeditionary Forces that was set up by the United States August 31st, or excuse me, July 15th, 1917, headed by the great General John J. Pershing. Where was he? Down on the Mexican border, chasing mad Mexicans with the Rainbow Brigade. So he took his brigade and went off to Europe. And on July 5th, 1917, it took him a year to get 2 million Americans over there. And interestingly enough, as you pointed out, their first engagement was the summer of 1918, and the war was over in November.
Yeah, pretty cool. And on this date, go ahead.
Just real quick, just so people know the casualties, we should make recognition about those that protected all of us. 320,000 U.S. casualties, 53,000 battle deaths, 63,000 non-combat deaths, and 240,000 wounded in that period of war.
Wow. 1951, in the first live coast-to-coast TV broadcast, President Harry S. Truman addressed the nation from the Japanese Peace Treaty Conference in San Francisco.
Which is pretty remarkable when you think about where this guy's been in his life. You know, he'd been vice president, and then he ran for president and beat Dewey. And then but I mean, in this period of time, there was the third term, him and Roosevelt won, and then on April 12th, Roosevelt dies.
Yeah. And
in the afternoon after the funeral, and he's already president, but after the funeral of Roosevelt, Secretary of War Henry Stinson tells him about the Manhattan Project. So, Roosevelt never trusted to tell him. Yeah. And the other thing that's notable was on May 8th, 1945, victory over in Europe Day. He announced it on the radio on his 61st birthday. So the guy had to make a lot of decisions that were forced on him, and he was one of his favorite comments was, if you never prayed for me now, you better start praying for me now. If you've never prayed for me before, you need to start praying for me now, boys.
Okay.
To the press corps after the nuclear bombs were dropped in Japan.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like, you may not like me, but you got to vote for me.
or the buck stops here.
Or the buck stops here. There you are. All right, we got to duck out of here. We got the Montana State News, got Fox News, got the Brooke Foster with the weather, Culligan Water, and all kinds of things. So stay tuned for all that coming up right after this. 24 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, September 4th, 2019, 62 degrees outside, looking for a high of 91 today. And Mike McCormick will join us coming up at 7 o'clock hour, so stay tuned for that. We're going to talk about the markets and all that. Shane will give us a market wrap-up at 7:30. And don't forget, coming up on this Thursday, if you want to win some football tickets for the game this Saturday, the Bobcats against Southeast or West Missouri State. I forget which one it is. It doesn't really matter because we're going to spank their little behinds and send them home with a loss. So, but if you want to witness that drubbing, then by all means, Thursday morning we're going to give away 2 tickets on our app chat line. All you have to do is go to your app chat, which is right next to the listen button on your smartphone, and text the word soapbox to us. Soapbox. All you have to do, put in soapbox, and you're entered. And we'll have a drawing for those folks. And you can also call on Thursday morning. At the right before the 7 o'clock hour, we'll give you all the details of which caller we're going to take and all that. So that'll be coming up. Actually, that is probably tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's Thursday. Yes. That'll be tomorrow. I'm a day behind here. I'm thinking
you're a day short, buddy.
It's that stupid Tuesday that without a Monday that screwed me up. So I don't know. I mean, I'm in trouble here. But yeah, get some tickets. Also, next week, we're going to have tickets for Jay Owenhouse. We're going to have VIP tickets we're going to give away. You can go backstage, meet Jay, pet the tiger, all that stuff, and see all the gizmos he uses and all that stuff. And maybe he'll do some sleight of hand for you or whatever while you're back there. So it'd be quite a treat. Those are $70 tickets. So you get to sit down front, and we'll give away some of those plus some regular tickets to the show. And we'll be doing that next week. Jay's going to be on Saturday the 14th. So we got football tickets for the 7th. We got Jay Owenhouse for the 14th. So by all means, get in on both of those. And the easy way to do it, go to your AM 1450 KMMS app, click on App Chat, send us Soapbox. Just one word, Soapbox is all you need, and we will contact you if you are a winner there. And we'll also give away a couple by phone because we know not everybody has a smartphone. So to be fair, we'll do it both ways. So there you are. Okay, I got my house.
You got your house in order. You covered the land phone. You covered the virtual phone.
That's right. I got it all, man.
You just didn't cover the telex. Oh, they don't use that anymore.
That's an old thing. So, well, on September 4th, this date, 1957, Arkansas Governor Orville Faubus called out the National Guard to prevent 9 black students from entering Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, amazing how the follow-up of what happened in the 40s and 50s, turned into such an incredible disposition of anti-government. But it was, the whole thing with this was actually, I think, fueled by the Vietnam War, because that's what really got Americans protesting, and then it sort of merged into the whole racial issue.
Civil Rights Act, yeah.
Civil Rights Acts and everything. But once again, regrettably, it's the South and the Democratic Party. And, we've had this conversation before. Don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, why do the African-American black people support the Democratic Party? Just don't get it.
Actually, it's the Democrat Party, but that's okay.
Actually, it's the Demolition Party.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Okay, well, call it correctly. All right, the Demolition Party. On this date, 1957, Ford Motor Company begins selling its ill-fated Edsel, named after Edsel Ford. The Edsel was a monumental failure in the car market, but
it was. Incredibly, they built an entire division, like Mercury and anyway, like different parts of the company.
Sure.
They lost $250 million in the endeavor. The division was only around from 56 to 59. And as you said, they named it after his son, who ended up not doing well. He ended up, because of his relationship with his father, was cancer and dying. So, it was a big loss. But they did produce the Citation. You remember this, the Corsair, the Pacer, the Ranger. They created the station wagon Bermuda, Villager, and a Roundup. We had a Roundup station wagon.
But the big deal was 1964, the Mustang.
That was it, and the cigar chumping who, saved Ford with the Mustang to compete with the Corvette, baby.
There we go. Well, in 1972, swimmer Mark Spitz became the first person to win 7 gold medals at a single Olympic Games when the United States won the 400-meter relay in Munich. Also, the Munich Massacre took place there at that same year, and Michael Phelps has eclipsed that 7 gold medal record by a couple since then. But, the Munich Olympics was marred by assassination of the Israeli team. And
that's right. And he came back to me. He followed up with Mexico. He was consistent. So he was clearly a great athlete. It was 36 years before Mike Phelps, won 8 gold medals in the 2008 Olympics. But Mark Spitz was, he was a persona at the time, and remember, he was on the cereal box cover.
On the Wheaties box, yeah.
Oh, there you go. And that was like, wow, this is a great idea. So then they started pursuing that. that worked out well for them. But it's just remarkable when you realize that somebody, as an athlete in a competition that's globally shared and worldwide, can be so successful at more than one or two, and to win 7 is remarkable.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty remarkable. Well, the other thing too is that I don't think Mark Spitz was pretty upset that Phelps beat his record. He thought that would live forever, and he was a little disjointed that Phelps had won more than he did. So, kind of.
Yeah, he's born in 1950, and so it puts him around 69 years old. But he looks like Charles Heston now. If you look at a picture of him now, he looks a bit like Charles.
Yeah, he had. He looked a little like Geraldo Rivera when he was racing, somewhat. Back in the 70s with the hair and the mustache and all that stuff, So, all right, we got to take another quick break. We'll be right back with more stimulating conversation right after this. 14 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, September 4, 2019, 61 degrees outside. We're looking for a possible high of 91 today, Shane. Going to be pretty nice out there. Sunny, not much happening, so have a enjoyable day. But next week, we're going to dip down into the 60s. So I don't know. We haven't had the warm, blistering August that we usually have, and September's looking like it's going to go out with a whimper, and I don't know. I guess we should call it Septober, maybe.
Well, yeah, it's been so warm there that the farmers have taken their shirts off, and they don't have farmer tans. They got full tans this year.
There's no farmer tans, yeah.
Full tans. Yeah. Wow, that's great.
Yeah. Well, on this date in 2002, singer Kelly Clarkson was voted the first American Idol on the Fox TV series. Kelly Clarkson battled weight situations for quite a while, but still hanging in there and still making records, still singing. A lot of these folks kind of went by the wayside, the American Idol winners, but she was one that kind of hung around and kept going. And
yeah, and she's the one that does that NFL thing. I mean, wow! I'm right on Sunday.
Isn't that that's Carrie Underwood?
Oh, I'm so sorry. They're both blonde and blue-eyed. What can I do?
Well,
anyway, yeah.
One's a 10 and one's a 6. So
he's a country.
I don't want to sound too misogynistic here, but. Anyway,
country best-selling singer. Her album "Since You've Been Gone" and "Because of You" sold over 15 million copies worldwide. So, and she's won 2 Grammy Awards. So obviously,
she's doing all right. She's got a set of pipes on her. She can blow it out. Oh my God! Yeah, she's doing all right.
Good looking, 37.
Yeah.
And not such a bad situation considering. She's a one-off, right? I mean, she just walked on the stage at American Idol and walked off.
Yeah, and won. And Carrie Underwood won also.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so.
But she really is hot on Sunday.
She is hot, yeah.
Yeah.
2006, crocodile hunter Steve Irwin, 44, died after a stingray's barb pierced his chest. And we all remember that. Yeah,
I remember. I mean, nothing had been on TV since we were kids. Mutual of Omaha. Remember?
Yeah, remember that. Yeah.
And about animals. And he made it popular again, and as you said, doing a basic kind of show. In a situation that wasn't any more dangerous than a lot of dangerous situations.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anybody would have got him, you think an alligator would have got him. He was always jumping in the lake with alligators and hanging on to him by the tail, and snakes and everything else that you can think of. And this stingray, I don't know. That's probably not the way he wanted to go from a stingray. He probably said, let's get something else, but.
You have to give him credit because he was an educated naturalist, zoologist, conservationist, and his show he produced himself.
Yeah,
and so that was pretty cool. And he endeavored to create the famous movies Crocodile Dundee.
Yep.
And so I mean, he was a worldwide phenomenon. Very, very sad in the loss in 2007. Yeah.
Yes, he was. Yeah, quite a. Yeah, and from what I understand, I think his daughter's taking up some of his. She's
Yes, no,
becoming
yeah,
a
that's right. Still
yeah.
popular in
Hmm.
Australia. That, yeah, the
Yeah,
show. And,
so she may have a show over there. So, all right. We got to talk about support for veterans. We got to talk about scholarship, and we've got to talk about Mercedes Benz. So,
oh yeah,
all
with
right.
the
So
daily wrap up of Bozeman. Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
So, stay tuned. There may be a test after this. So. 7 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday. It is September of the 4th, 2019. 61 degrees outside. We're looking for a high of 90, 91 today, maybe, something like that. And on this date in 2007, toy maker Mattel Incorporated recalled 800,000 lead-tainted Chinese-made toys worldwide, the third major recall in just over a month. So all that lead-based paint, those Chinese fascists are painting on our toys.
Well, it's amazing. But Mattel's been around for like 75 years.
Yeah.
They only have 25,000 employees, but they have almost $1 billion, about 800 million in sales. Between 1952 and 1980, they made about 25 acquisitions. It's one of the largest toy companies in the world. But they've survived a lot because a lot of toy companies have come and gone. But they happen to have been one of those that, hey, they managed under good management to succeed, and more to them. Hot Wheels, the Barbie. Those of you that don't know, those were the two big winners for them, and it's sort of neat to be able to see a success story. It's one of the Fortune 500, so it's one of those companies just held in there for almost 100 years. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Well, and China's been around 4,000 years. They're one of the four great ancient civilizations with Egypt, Babylon, and India.
You're so tough.
You've got China's is the rat Fink here.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's.
You think after 4,000 years they're going to fix lead paint?
That's true. Now that's a good point because painting your currency doesn't work for you.
And surely they've seen the fork. I mean, come on. Two sticks, eating with two sticks. I mean, come on.
Well,
they invent gunpowder, but they still eat with two sticks.
And the noodle.
Okay. Well, you'd think they would have invented stuff that would work with two sticks. You stab it or something. It'd all be rice. Rice wouldn't be little pieces. You got to make it all gooey to eat it with two sticks. I mean, come on.
And the incredible thing is, it's been the most populous country for the last 7,000 years. I mean, and they're still trying to figure out how to take over the world.
Well, it's so great to live there, I'm sure. So.
Oh, yeah, it's a real pleasant.
Well, in 2008, Senator John McCain accepted the Republican presidential nomination at the party's convention in St. Paul, Minnesota, and everybody wondered why this guy, of all people. Why McCain?
That's right. Up until after him, until Trump, for the last 60 years, it's always been the most senior guy, which has to tell you it's got to be the most corrupt guy, right? I mean, you can't get to the top without being corrupt because everybody's got to have something on you.
I was going to say, that's why I was so convinced Hillary would win.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think it was just endemic to the Democratic Party. It was the Republican Party. Yeah. I always said to you, the four things about Trump. He's a billionaire, so no one can buy him off. He has no reason to lie. He doesn't have to do this, and he actually loves his country. I mean, those are the four things that I thought would get him elected, and hopefully we'll see where he goes next year. But
wow. Well, I know. Gosh, if you didn't vote for Hillary, she'd have you killed. I mean,
that's right. And by the way, just in talking about McCain, I think McCain one of the reasons he really got his butt kicked was when the financial problem. You remember in October or September, it was September. He suspended his campaign and had to go back to Washington as a senator to deal with the financial crisis, right? This is the same guy that said he would vote for getting rid of Obamacare.
Yeah.
And 2 in the morning, walked into the well, up to the dais, and then turned his thumb down. He didn't even say no. He just turned his thumb down like some mighty Roman. So
Yeah.
the guy was I don't know. I'm sorry. I have a lot of problems with this guy.
All right. Well,
okay.
From our text line, 478-8298, it's a good thing that our former Olympic swimmers, Michael Phelps and Ryan Locke, were blessed with athletic prowess by the good Lord. Did you ever hear these guys speak at length? As Foghorn Leghorn would say, those boys are about as sharp as a bowling ball. Maybe it's all right. The wacky weed they've known to have smoked. That may be true, because they have a hard time farming coherent sentences. That's for sure.
So, well, that's because they spend 8 hours a day in the pool. Since
I was going to say, is that wet brain? Is that wet brain syndrome?
Yeah. The tongue, complication.
Yeah. Well, on this date in 2008, Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick pleaded guilty to obstruction of justice in a sex scandal, forcing the Democrat out of office. So,
yep, he was sentenced 18 months to 5 years and served time at the Oaks Correctional Facility without ever trying to escape. And he was convicted on 24 federal felony counts, including mail fraud, wire fraud, and racketeering. Wow,
he was an overachiever.
He was very true.
The only notable birthdays today, as we're running out of time, Francois Chateaubriand, who of course was a French author and diplomat, and Steak for Two was named after him.
That's correct.
I guess. And the only other one, Henry Ford, born on this date in 1917, obviously head of the Ford Motor Company from 45 to 79. So that will wrap up this day in history and the weather and other things. So Mike McCormick will be joining us here shortly. So we will talk to Mike about what the heck is going on with all these around the world with our money.
That's right.
How can we protect it?
We got to call them out, baby.
Yes, we do. We'll be right back with more and Mike McCormick right after the news. I blew that one. Anyway, Mike McCormick is in the house.
You get the idea.
Yeah, get the idea. Shane Matovin on the line with me. Tom Eagle, your morning mayor. Mike McCormick, McCormick Financial Services in the house. And boy, the markets are going nuts here with Brexit and all the foreign trade, the tariffs, the China, Japan.
Everything's going to be okay, Tom. Everything's going to be okay.
Good. All right. Well, I'm going to sit back and relax, and you tell me why I'm going to be good.
There's a ton of news out there. There's a ton of noise out there, and these days it's hard to understand how it impacts people's money. And sometimes news is shocking. Sometimes news can get us excited, and then we see the markets not react or even react the other direction. And then sometimes there's things where that doesn't mean anything. That I don't have any emotion about that. I feel nothing, to quote the Free to Be You and Me album. And then the markets have a huge reaction to it. Herein is the conundrum, is that short-term investing is very, very difficult. If you can get the overall sense of which way the market's going, then you can maybe capitalize on some of these short-term, really emotional reactions that we're having now, where we're going to have, it's 1% up, 1% down, or it might be, we've even seen 3% down, and then sort of sneakily we get a few days of, 0.75% up and things like that, and it creeps back up. That's typically how this goes, is it sort of bubbles up, and then all of a sudden it bubbles over, and that's where the mess happens. But then things get back together again. We're seeing some good manufacturing or service sector numbers out of China, and for some reason that's telling people things are not that bad again. And so there's also, on top of it, I'm reading one of those conflicting headlines that says, well, because things are so poor, or things are slowing down, or things are so whatever negative, well, then the central banks are going to make money even easier, and that's going to be good for the economy. So when the overall trend is, yes, we want to keep going up, it doesn't take, these confusing or contrived reasons can't have short-term impacts on the market. Now, where are we going in the long term? Yeah, we talk about this. We're expensive. Real estate's expensive. Lattes are expensive. Two things need to either happen. They need to get less expensive, which means that we would, lose money in our 401ks, or we need to slowly start building more wealth and growing our income so that this feeling of it being less expensive goes away. And that sounds very, simple and orderly and logical. And that's not how this plays out. But in the big term, if you take it 2 steps back, I think it looks like that. And yeah, I think that this thing is just going to play out longer. We do have some real concerns out there. I wrote about it in my newsletter having to do with how these trade wars have really no ending to them. We haven't yet to see a peaceful landing of this jet. We're having we're all in this jet together because we trade with all these other countries. They're in the jet with us, and the turbulence is getting to be a little bit alarming right now.
Right.
The ding, experiencing turbulence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, you can't not
fasten your seatbelt.
Can't not think of that great Far Side cartoon that you saw, a decade ago, maybe probably 2 decades ago, where it's the 2 pilots are having a blast up there saying, "Hey, we're having more turbulence." Yeah. But we got to land this thing.
Yeah.
We got to land this, and a smooth, peaceful landing on trade wars is yet to be accomplished. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, nobody wants to mention the R word, the
recession.
Yeah.
That's like saying it's time to get a cold because we haven't had a cold in a while.
Yeah, we haven't had a cold in a while. Yeah, we've had a recession every 10 years.
And it is. We're back to school now. Yeah. Everybody's in confined spaces.
Right.
And you should be on guard for a cold. It will probably happen sometime this winter. You will get a cold.
Yeah.
But, planning for it beyond washing your hands shouldn't be done in a recession,
Yeah. Well, one of the things with a strong dollar, the question is if we reduce rates, if the Fed reduces rates and weakens the dollar, then our exports become more valuable.
More affordable to other people,
to people, around the world. So is that a way to go? Because lowering rates makes the banks a little more leery about making those home loans because they want you to have a much higher credit rating. Maybe
interesting
to
point about the home
loan.
loans, Tom, because I've been suggesting to clients and friends and everybody that if you haven't refinanced or if you're on an adjustable,
time,
I mean, we've been saying this for 10 years now, but now's really the time.
Yeah, it is.
And so I visited with some of my local mortgage friends about what rates are doing and what my clients might be able to get. And I was seeing one of my clients was calling the big banks. And I always suggest, call the person that holds your existing mortgage now and ask them what kind of deal they have. And it's probably a big bank, and it's who will end up holding it.
Sure.
And if you've been paying, they don't want to lose you as a customer. They might say, hey, we've got a good deal for you. It's no different than calling Charter and saying, I feel like canceling my service. And then you end up with another 100 channels for the same price.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
right.
the same
Yeah,
thing,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you call your person that holds your mortgage, you'll get a really good rate, an under 4% 30-year fixed rate. And there's a few things that I saw that were really interesting. One is that the rate that they were quoting my client for 30 years was the same as for 15 years. And this is unusual. Usually you have to pay more to borrow money for a longer period of time. There's more uncertainty in that. So now they're giving you the fair deal. So for all those people that want the 15-year mortgage, there's not even a mathematical reason for that now because you can get the same deal for a longer period of time. And you can make early payments and still have it work out like a 15-year, but you have the flexibility. The second thing that was interesting was that my local mortgage contacts here that work with local regional banks, and I really like doing business with them if it's the same, numbers, because then you have a lot more services, a lot more personal help and local knowledge that goes with that. And they said they can't do that. They said they don't have that rate available to them because there's functionally enough work that goes into these mortgages for servicing, for handling risk, for packaging, for reinvesting, for doing their stuff that they do, that they can't go that low. They've reached their floor. It doesn't exist. They're not participating. It's not where they want to be. They're full. They've already got a full basket of mortgages that they don't make very much money on. They don't need any more of them.
Yeah.
So it was interesting that she basically said if rates continue to go down, if we ended up with a negative yield like some of these countries do, mortgages, at least from the products they offer, aren't going to go down anymore.
Yeah.
And it's only a matter of time till the big banks sort of say, wait a minute, we're not making, we're not in the business to make change. We're in the business to make money, right? So we'll see if mortgages can go lower, but if you haven't locked in your arm, if you're getting, just go and talk to a mortgage person. It's a great time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the other thing, the bond inversion between the 5-year and the 10-year, usually that's some kind of a red flag.
Oh gosh,
but I only think it's a red flag if there's a difference of about 2 points or so, where it gets really.
Well, that would be bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, or at least 1 point. They flip back and forth.
So we're talking about how
that's really not I don't consider that a red flag where it's just a minor flip. It's 2 days and then it's back to normal and then it's a day and a half or something like that.
I think we should hope we get back to normal. Tom's talking about the yield curve, how it should cost you more to borrow money for a longer period of time.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not like that right now.
Yeah, 10 years should cost more than a 5-year, and a 30-year.
And there's not a lot of data out there, but every economist out there is going to say this is very bad. This is likely an indicator of bad things happening, things that are happening right now in the big world of Wall Street, big money that's happening that are unusual, and that we'll find out what happened later. So I don't disagree with that. This is not bad. This is not good. This is bad right now. Our fixed income market is spooky. We've got a few things going for us is that, yes, the dollar is still in control. We're still in charge. Everyone else is just forced to kind of match us right now still. And we're fundamentally on good footing. Personal net worth, personal debt, these numbers are looking fantastic, and wages are going up. So, yes, we've got competing tailwinds, headwinds, all these different things. You hear the talking heads on the radio saying, you got to do this, you got to do this. Here's the deal. Nobody knows what to do right now. There's very few people that are going to get this one right. It's extremely confusing. Have plenty of cash on hand, getting 2%, and keep investing your money as best you can to grow because you need to. I mean, college is probably not going to get a whole lot more expensive if you got young kids, but it's not going to get any less expensive, I don't think.
No.
The cost of retirement, it's not going to get less expensive. The amount of time you're living in retirement,
it's going to be longer.
Oh, it's going to be longer. And the amount of time that you're going to have to cover your own Medicare, coverage, I bet they extend that date out. Government can't be providing health care for people forever that are living forever. So, yes, we've got real problems out there for sure. But hopefully everybody's seen a sunny day out there, and your job and personal financial situations is looking good.
All right. 3 minutes of Shane. What do you think, Shane?
Oh, I don't want to go there.
Come on.
You don't want to hear about my black swan. No.
Come on, empty my glass half full of water, Shane.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, the interesting thing about this is that all the talking heads and everyone that you listen to with regards to financial discussion ignores one reality, and that is in the last 30 years, the currency market has taken over as a world basis for trading, meaning making a living for banks and brokers and traders. Now, let's look at the numbers. The euro is $1.10. It was $1.12 when Mike was here last week. It's down 2 basis points from last week. You know what the euro was at? $1.58. $1.58. It's down 48 cents. The British pound sterling, 121. What was it at? 138. Now, the Australian and New Zealand and Canadian dollars are pretty much maintained their same problem. But 15 years ago, where were they? At par with the U.S. dollar. So that means the Canadian dollar is down 33%. From 95 to 2009, when Chinese were spending billions, literally $1 billion a month buying real estate in Vancouver, they were buying it with U.S. dollars at par. They're down 33% on their investment. Okay, let's go on. Mexico, 133 to the U.S. dollar. Venezuela, you love talking about, Tom. Yeah. Now, why am I making a big issue for a minute of my 3 minutes? Is because when people look at what's going on in the world, they fail to realize the biggest shift in financial policy has been predicated on the dollar and the value of currencies around the world, because that directs and controls trade, which is why Trump is grabbing this whole idea of the tariff issue. He's brilliant. This is a consequence of, do you decide at a company to add a surcharge to make up the difference or not, because you're paying it. The company's paying it. The country it comes from is paying it. Whatever people want to call it, a tax, a surcharge. But if you want to raise prices against what is a market that you're the only one selling into, you're in big trouble. China's in trouble. Argentina's in trouble. Venezuela's in trouble. All of Central America is in trouble. Mexico's socialist government still doesn't know what to do except send troops to the American border because they want the USMCA approved, which Democrats won't do. You've got the Brexit. The brand new prime minister gets stabbed in the back by one of his members with a 1-vote majority, walks across and destroys any possibility of something reasonable with Brexit. I got 1 minute left. Italy just found a new government finally, and there's now, the UN says, 80 million refugees worldwide. Iran's near capitulation and talking now, we might talk to the United States. Good luck. Syria's in an absolute distress. North Korea is doing what the Chinese want, but now they're capitulating because of what's happened in Hong Kong. Wouldn't have happened without the mainland approval. And Africa and other areas of the world are just being ignored, and I'm running out of time. What's the point here? We're still in a sell-off because people need to get back money. Like I said, if you're a European and 10 years ago you bought stock in the United States with the euro, at $1.35. Remember, sellers always sell the winners first. They don't sell the losers, okay? They sell the winners first. And that's what you're seeing right now. The winners being hit, and then the losers that they have will come next. So there you go.
All right.
I'm going back to bed.
He's more than just a pretty face, isn't he?
I'm going back to bed.
All right. We're going to take a 1-minute break while Mike absorbs all this, and we'll come back and chat more. Thanks, Shane. We'll be right back. All right. It is 21 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. It's Wednesday, September 4th. Mike McCormick Financial Services in the house. Shane Tobin, half man, half amazing, and the best co-host in the history of radio is in Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor. And, Michael, we're talking about, Shane directs us over to commodities and the
currencies.
Value of the dollar and the currencies and all of that. Yeah, currencies rather than commodities, I'm sorry.
It's just, it hasn't been my bailiwick, right?
Yeah.
The foreign interplay of things. And I don't discount what Shane's saying is that this is I talk about how the bond market's got an extra zero behind it above the stock market. Mm-hmm. This is one, if not more than one more zero on top of that, where this is the big stuff. Yeah. And this controls, the tides of change. And I'm not going to pretend that I really understand it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, we're in Thomas Crown territory, I think, with a commodity.
When we buy foreign stocks for clients, they are called ADRs, American Depository Receipts. And there's a format where you buy them using U.S. dollars, and they get valued in U.S. dollars. Mm-hmm. Now, the companies underneath them, they have to make profits in whatever currency that they're operating in, and they have to deal with the trade that they deal with, and they have to hedge their bet regarding their orders and their receivables and all those things. And then their profit somehow is reflected back to us in the case of dollars. And I suppose that at one point in time, I understand a lot more of those mechanics. I need to understand right now what's important about that for my client, which represents diversification. Of the world economy. The U.S. is now about, at best, in one of your best, rosiest measurements, 50%, but it's more like 40% of economic activity globally. And so the idea that your portfolio should not have some international stocks in it is irresponsible to the precept of diversification. You want to have a hand in this opportunity. Also, we're seeing international allocations being dropped down from, I saw as high as 30% once upon a time. Now it's usually more like a 10% allocation to Europe and Far East Asia, and then maybe a 5% allocation to emerging markets. And that would be in an aggressive stock portfolio. So we're already seeing money managers, analysts, and advisors pare back exposure to international things. And in some cases, that's in response to how it's already gone. If you watch active traders, they're usually behind things a step or two. So the question for me now, when I hear things like Shane's talking about, is dollar's strong. That makes it hard for other countries to buy from us, so they're going to buy from somebody else. Mm-hmm. Oh, Okay, well, I want to have a foot in that, right? I want to have a exposure to that, in case that this turns into a big nationalistic thing and we end up truly only eating local, like the bumper stickers from the local fans have, and everybody does that across the globe. Well, then you really better work hard to get exposure to some of these areas, because it is China that's going to end up with the growth, and it is these emerging markets that are going to end up with the growth, and it's really not the U.S. other than our technological advancements and our productivity advancements, which I think are really driving this. But ultimately, if we all just have 2 or less kids and we don't let immigrants come in, we're going to have to really up our consumption game if we're going to keep our growth going.
Right. Yeah.
So long ball, I think it all is going to work out in terms of, we've got a currency imbalance. It's sloshing this way, it's sloshing that way. Currency trading is not for your average listener. It's not for the home gamers. When Shane talks about how important a 2 bip move in the dollar pound is, people driving might be like, 2 cents, whatever. Well, people have derivative exposure to this. They have exposure where that can make millions in fortunes or lose millions in fortunes. And that's not for the average person to be exposed to. So it's confusing. It's interesting. The headlines can be extremely dramatic. But we've seen currency imbalances before. We've seen devaluations happen with trading partners before. We've seen currency manipulations happen with people before. And Lord knows we've all been on vacation to different places where things are feeling really expensive. It used to be that Europe felt pretty expensive. Now it feels like, it's kind of an okay deal. Or going and buying a beer in Canada even, Shane. I mean, it used to require a credit check and a whole escrow process for me to buy a beer up there. But now I can go up and enjoy one of the fine microbrews for really only about a 50% premium over what it would cost me here.
From our text line, 478-8298. Sorry to backtrack. Couldn't catch the tech number last time to ask. Without a 401k match from work, I opted out. What is a good investment that doesn't cost $5K, if any?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
So the caller has a 401k provided through work that does not have a match, meaning that if he puts in $1, the company's not going to say, hey, here's another $1 for you. That's not uncommon. I mean, we're in a community of small businesses
They'll offer it if you want to contribute
growing
to help yourself.
Right, but they want to pay you a salary to do a job, and they don't have a lot of extra cash to just start providing benefits.
For the benefits,
so you do have, if you have earned income, you have the opportunity to participate in a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, and we're both fans of those on the show. And so you can go and set those up by yourself online with an online broker. If you're tech savvy and want to give that a try, that's a good way to start.
Yep.
You can go visit with one of the brokerage shops in town, walk into any one that you get a good recommendation for, and work with one of those advisors for an IRA. That's an individual retirement account. Now, the idea of the 401k, I still want you to look at that for 2 reasons. One is that the limits are higher. You can put 2 to 4 times as much more into a 401k, and so you can save more.
An IRA,
right? An IRA is 6,000 cap, and a 401k is at 19,000 cap. So now
it's
that's
only
3 times.
6,000 if you're over 65, isn't it?
No, they bumped it up.
Did they bump it up?
These numbers change every darn year. I'm sorry.
All right. Well,
I can't keep these
in
my head.
I know.
And so you've got a limit that's about a third of what the 401k is. Now, if you're just getting going savings, and that seems like a lot of money, you're fine. But here's the other great thing about the 401k is that your payroll does it for you. Once you sign the paperwork, that money is taken out before you get it, just like your FICA, your Social Security, and your Medicare, and it goes into a savings account that is for you, that you own, that you control. So it's not a bad idea if you're planning on staying with this employer, even if they don't have a match, of signing up for that, because it's going to have a better savings discipline for you. It's going to have more of an impact. Now, start slow. If this is a new savings account, I want people to, it's easy to get excited about saving money. Hey, we finally got debt paid off. We've got some free money. Let's save. We're going to do it. Now's the time. That's the right attitude to have. But it's easy you want to go slow. You don't want to oversave, because getting money out of that thing is a lose, lose, lose. And then you end up being a bit jaded on the process. So I'd like to have you actually go ahead and sign up for that 401k and start with 1, 2, or 3% of your salary. And when you do a percentage of your salary, what's great is that as you get a raise, you're saving more. That's what you want to do.
All right. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this half hour. We'll continue on with Mike after the break. I want to talk a little more about the Roth, which I do.
You love the Roth.
I love the Roth, and I'll tell you why.
And you can do the Roth option inside your 401k.
You can,
usually as well. So this is a pre-tax or post-tax. We are going to make it fun and exciting.
Yes, we are.
It won't be boring.
It won't be boring at all.
Heck no.
Making money is never boring. I
That's
mean,
right.
Look at Shane. Jeez.
Paying taxes is always painful.
That's true. Yeah. Shane lives in Canada. They don't pay taxes there. Everything's free. We'll be right back with more with Mike following the news. 24 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, September 4, 2019, 62 degrees outside. Mike McCormick is in the house, and we were talking about Roth IRAs, and the biggest thing about a Roth, obviously, is that when you get your paycheck, taxes are already taken out, so your contribution to a Roth is from your take-home, not before taxes like a regular IRA would be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
And I got to point out, there's only a few places on the planet that you can avoid taxes, right? One is by dying.
Yeah.
And you've avoided it.
No more taxes after that.
You got to step up and basis on the things, and you didn't pay on the gain.
Right.
But that's not a sound financial planning strategy, really. Investing in municipal bonds and other government issues, you can avoid paying taxes on, but they're factored in. If you want to be a municipal bond buyer, you're competing with people who have really punitive tax rates, and the benefit they're seeing is a lot greater than yours. And so I don't do a lot of municipal bonds. And so really we're left with this idea that you're going to pay taxes.
Yeah.
And so fortunately you do get to choose with a Roth or a traditional IRA, and you can do this inside a 401k. Do you want to pay taxes now, or do you want to pay taxes later? Now, most accountants that I know, maybe all of them, say paying later is always better.
Yeah.
Because you might die, or because
who knows,
or because lots of stuff might happen.
Yeah.
And the present value of money is an important thing. Well, mathematically, if you've got the same tax rate now and later, and if you've got the same growth rate, you've got no advantage paying now or later. That it's the same. However, tax rates aren't the same now as what they're going to be in the future. Both in terms of policy, we've got overall a very accommodative or low tax rate right now. Historically, it's a low rate. You can't argue any other way. And then also, you personally out there, you've got your own income projection. You've got this period of time where you're not making a lot because you're working your way up, or you're starting your company or whatever. And then you've got a period, hopefully, where you're making good money. And so you want to project how that's going to go for your own life, and try to pay taxes when you're not making very much, because tax rates are marginal. The more you make, the higher percentage you're going to be paying on that last dollar. And so I tell people generally, if you're younger, yes, you want to pay taxes now. You'll be happy. And what's really great about these Roths that you love so much is when you look at a balance and it says $100,000 in your Roth 401k or Roth IRA, that really is $100,000.
Yeah, it really is.
As opposed to a traditional IRA or traditional 401k, where that's before taxes. And so it's not really $100,000. It's like you made $100,000 in income, and then you get to deal with the IRS on what they take from there. So again, mathematically they're equal, but gosh, it's really going to be nice. And this is how I phrase it to people: is let's say you're in retirement, you're on Social Security, and your Social Security doesn't pay for all your living, and you're lucky enough where you have this nice 401k, and you've decided that you get to take an extra $1,000 a month out of your 401k. And so your income is going to be $12,000 just from your withdrawals from your 401k, and that'll trickle down to your 1040, and you'll pay taxes on it. And okay, you've got that planned. You know what your tax liability is going to be, but then boom, your car dies. And your car, well, you like to drive nice cars, so you need $60,000 to get yourself a new, Bob on the line Suburban. In the future, that's going to be, 3 times that or something, right?
Of course.
And if you took that out of your 401k, that's going to boost your taxable income by a tremendous amount, and it might put you up into the next tax bracket, and you might be paying a higher percentage of your dollar in taxes.
Right.
Boo-hoo, wah. Hey, go over to your 401k that's a Roth. Go over to your Roth IRA. That money has already had taxes on it. You can take as much of that money out in one time, and it's not going to spike your tax rate.
Yeah, it'd be zero taxes on it.
And so you have diversified your tax liability. Again, it's not super exciting, but these are the things that you're going to be kicking yourself. God, I wish that I would have paid some taxes now. And so it's one of those things that even you get phased out as you make too much income where you can't participate in certain programs. And so it's another encouragement to say this Roth window is really pretty small for people that are going to go on and make good money. So I always say start with a Roth. If you know, but here's what I do. I say, do you feel like you pay too much in taxes? And people are like, I don't know what I pay. Well, let's do the Roth because you're not going to miss the tax savings.
You're not going to miss the taxes.
Right.
Well, the other thing I always figured is, and I looked it up here. Yeah, you're right. $6,000 for those under 50 each year for 10 years, and your investment earns 6%. You'll have about $80,000 by the end of 10 years. So for a $6,000 investment, you know.
It grows.
Yep.
I mean, that's what's so great about this whole market thing is you put money in there, you don't do anything, and you close your eyes, and over time it grows.
Yeah, and you could put a little more in if you're over 50. You could add an additional $1,000 to it, but whatever you take out is non-taxable, even the interest. I mean, so you've got your principal and your interest. It all comes out, no tax. So if you got an emergency, you know, if I need to go out and buy a new refrigerator, I can take some money out of the Roth at any age, pretty much. And is you know, the tax already been paid on it, so it's my money.
Once the money's been there for 5 years,
5 years,
you can take it out.
Is the
so there's lots of advantages to that. You can make first-time home purchases out of them. You can't do that out of a 401k. So it's one of these things where these tax laws are written at different times by different people, and therefore we have a lot of jobs being created for people trying to unwind these things. But be careful. They have a lot of flexibility, a lot of features, but it's duck soup. So make sure that you've got good advice before you do one of these things.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, there is a income limit for a Roth, great for those who could take advantage of it. Well, the person who sent in the text was talking about what's a good investment that doesn't cost $5,000, and Roth would be one of those. You know, that you can put in. You can only put in a maximum of $5,000 or $6,000, I guess.
Right.
But if you're under 50, which I assume this person
and this is an account structure, inside there you can buy stocks or bonds or hold it in cash. And that's an important thing that I think people should recognize.
It is. I would go to a broker like you because the money you put into a Roth, just because you put $6,000 in there, doesn't mean that it's going to. How you direct it is how it's going to grow.
Yeah.
You know, so
and you get to choose.
Yeah. Do I want to put it in medical stocks? Do I want to put it in farmers? Do I want to put it in manufacturing? Do I want to put it in foreign investment? Where do I want to put it where it'll get the greatest return?
And I always suggest people starting out, just go with a broad diversified index and even the target date fund.
Be conservative. Yeah.
Right. The average thing.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, why on earth is anyone talking about a bad economy or have any worries? We just had a massive tax cut that went to all the billionaires and major corporations in the country. Well, it didn't because corporations don't pay taxes. They collect them. And our economy is going to take off like a rocket ship. Well, it has for the past few years, I would say.
I'm a glass half full. I'm with this person.
Went from 21 up to 28. Now we're still at 26.
It's been pretty, if you look at a diversified portfolio, it hasn't been straight up these past couple of years.
And especially with all the money that's being repatriated back to America, there is that. There is money coming back to America from a lot of companies are coming back here.
Not as much as going out through Western Union, and now they've got different payment systems too.
Or so we're told that the trade wars are good and very easy to win. Well, they're not easy to win. That's ignorance on your part, I think. So why haven't we won yet? Well, a boxing match, 15 rounds, unless somebody knocks somebody out. So, we just because we haven't won yet doesn't mean that we're not going to win. So,
Well, I appreciate those comments. I'm a glass half full guy. The economy is good. We've got low taxes. We may have a federal stimulus bill. We'll see how that one goes. That's been something that's been on the books through the past several administrations. Our flagging infrastructure. Corporations do pay taxes, Tom. So I'm not sure where you were going with that one, but
they collect taxes. They don't pay taxes. They collect them.
I have a company. I pay taxes.
I got to take a break and
and
we'll come right back.
That is
we'll
what
come
you're
right back and talk about that, and I'll explain to you why. corporations don't pay taxes right after this. 12 minutes for the top of the hour, Wednesday, September 4th, 2019. Mike McCormick in the house. McCormick Financial Advisors with me, and Shay Matobin, half man, half amazing, in Vancouver, and Tommy Gallup, your morning mayor. And we were talking about corporations and taxes. Corporations, on their products, they collect taxes. When they sell a thing, they collect the taxes on it. So it's really simple. Now, they do pay payroll taxes, excise taxes, property taxes, state taxes, federal taxes, local taxes.
Yeah, and income taxes at their C Corp, but that's okay.
They don't pay unless they make a profit on paper.
All right. All right. Tom.
Amazon didn't pay anything.
All right,
Walmart
Tom.
pays little. I mean, come on.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
The financial advice of the morning is don't make money and then you don't pay taxes.
That's right. Don't make any money. That's why does anybody want to see Trump's tax returns? They're going to show he didn't make any money.
He might not have. He may not have.
Well, he better get a better accountant if he did.
Everybody that makes money ultimately pays taxes.
Yeah, I know they do.
All right.
All right. Well, when we have more time sometime, I'll explain.
If you want a good tax advisor other than Tom,
okay,
let me know and I'll pair you up. There's some really good ones here in town.
You'll be a good one, yeah. Well, as I've always said, I've never paid taxes in my life. My company or the guy I work for pays all my taxes.
Hey, whatever makes you happy,
that
Tom.
Makes
you
me
can
happy.
phrase it however you like, right?
And even if I do have to pay, I pay it from the money that the employer gives me. So.
Sure.
So
it didn't come from you.
I don't pay.
Didn't come from you.
Well, it didn't come from me. Let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. Call you on the air with Mike McCormick. What's up?
Daniel R. Peterson will try to prove that he's got a brain in his head.
All right, good deal.
Speaking of trade war, the mass media is dependent on a rather limited and quite primitive thinking when they constantly say the stock market goes up when tariffs take effect, goes down when there's a sight of a trade war ending, or vice versa. That was your grandmother's stock market. Today, computers are so intertwined in the decisions to buy and sell. They wouldn't pay attention to man's economic shenanigans. The computers can get a good buy when the buying is good, and they do it in a nanosecond. And if the money's lost, they'll pull out. Man's trade war is not on the radar of a thinking machine. Sheer profit is. How much weight do you guys think these cold and calculated computer decisions make on the stock market these days? Do you really think it's a human game anymore in the stock market?
Yeah, good question, DRP. So I'm really fascinated by this discussion about can you pick stocks with a computer or with a whiz kid and do better than the average? And statistically, the answer has been no. Statistically, the answer is still no in terms of everybody, right?
Right.
The average mutual fund, the average hedge fund does not outperform the stock market index. Generally, there's always an if and an but. So I'm always watching this because in today's environment, maybe this is the perfect environment for a machine to take advantage of things. When we're all watching the talking heads and the wagging tails and the Goldilocks and the green shoots and the, whatever euphemism these guys are telling us, the Kramer buys or whatever. In the meantime, is somebody getting quietly super filthy rich off of all of our ignorance and just playing the right game with the right computer program? And the answer is that if that's happening, they have not been public about it.
Yeah. And I don't think they would be.
And they wouldn't be. But you know what? They actually would be, because they would get, if I had a black box, and everybody every day is trying to make these black boxes that DRP is referencing here. Every day they're trying to sell them to JP Morgan. Every day they're trying to sell them to American funds. Every single day they're trying to sell them to the Cross Harbors of the world, the hedge funds of the world. And every day the hedge funds of the world the U.S. banks of the world and everybody paid way too much for some black box that ends up blowing up and not working when something different happened.
Yeah. Well, that's why everybody shows up in Omaha to listen to Warren Buffett.
Exactly.
You know, what are you gonna do?
Exactly. He's the opposite side of things. So Warren Buffett still is doing well. The S&P 500 index is still probably the top performing fund you can invest in.
NASDAQ too has been up quite a bit.
NASDAQ's been up too on the technology end.
But I think the question Daniel is asking is, do we put computers in charge of our decisions, and are humans totally removed, or do we need 90% man and 10% computers, or what's our otherwise we just have machines running our lives?
All right, let me also give a sub-question or two. The real core of the question is it's not whether people are making money through the computers, it's whether they're pulling things back and forth. It's not whether the stock market is responding to history. It's whether the computers are deciding by cold and calculating thinking that they want to go one way or another.
Well, the computers are non-emotional. That's if I tell Mike I've got XYZ stock and I want to sell that stock, if it reaches 64, sell it.
Well, I'm going to interject.
Mike will put it in the computer and say, okay, that'll automatically sell at 64.
If we have information and if we have efficient markets, everything reverts to the mean. The price to earnings ratio, if something's undervalued, somebody's going to come along and buy it, and they're going to end up making money.
Yeah. Shane?
The reason there's no more traders on the New York Stock Exchange floor is because of the diversity of ownership around the world, banks, people, funds. 70% of the trades on the New York Stock Exchange take place on the second floor. They're matched trades. So, in other words, if someone's selling 1 million shares of Bank of America, then they match it to buyers or sellers on the other side. 10% of trading on the Dow Jones is day traders. That's significantly down from 1998-99 when it was 62%. And long-term investors represent the rest of it that are basically holding, or it's people that have inherited it and or in the process of doing so with the transfer of assets from generation to generation. Computer trading represents 3% of the ongoing transfer of existing positions for the purpose of doing it quickly because of the hedging that they do against it, like which Mike mentioned before.
Okay. We got to take a break. Thanks, Daniel.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Hope that answered the question. We'll be back in 60 seconds. 3 minutes for the top of the hour from our text line, 478-8298. Trade wars are good and very easy to win. Donald Trump, corporations don't pay taxes. What the left is talking about isn't taxation, it's confiscation. Covers everything, I think.
Yeah, right. We're coming up on the top of the hour now.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we are.
About to end our Wednesday, September.
Hump Day.
Yep.
What day is it, Mike? What day?
This is hump day and the dog days of summer. School started yesterday. Thank you, teachers.
Yes.
Welcome back. Hope
Welcome
it's a
back,
good year for everybody.
Students. Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the routines that we have of lunches is the main bane of existence, right? Packing a lunch every day for the whole family, everybody bumping elbows in the kitchen.
Yeah. Let's take one more call here before we have to go. Caller, you are on the air with Mike McCormick. What's up?
I just got one tax that you and I can never avoid, Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
And that is inflation.
That's true.
I sell firewood. When I sold you a quart of firewood the year I started out about 10 years ago, I probably brought it to your house for about $145 to $165.
Something like that, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, I'm charging $250 to $260, and that barely gets me $15 to $20 an hour in the valley. So,
wow.
Inflation is unavoidable. I myself made a lot of mistakes over the years when my logs would go up in price. Mm-hmm. I would always try to eat a portion of it because a lot of my customers that I started my business with were seniors and veterans.
Sure.
And they're on budgets. And the reason that I don't have a nice fancy truck and trailer like a lot of my competition is because of that.
Yeah.
And I've realized that it's never going to get me ahead, and it's not going to help them have firewood if I go out of business.
True.
So this year, I'm not eating any of it, and I've lost a good amount of customers, but I'm making more money. So,
well,
inflation is unavoidable for all of us.
It is.
All All right.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're not using our fireplace as much as we were years ago because we're older and we just.
You're cold all the time
I don't
anyway.
want to get down and make a fire. You know?
That's so cold.
Yeah.
No, inflation. We could spend a long time on that one.
We could.
Yeah,
maybe next week we'll do an inflation hour.
I sure appreciate all the callers and texts. Good feedback
absolutely.
from everybody. Great questions, great diversity. So enjoy your week, everybody. Sign up for your retirement plan. If you aren't saving enough, you can just put a new piece of paper into your HR person that says increase it a little bit, and then watch it grow.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Why would anyone expose their money to the stock market that is at or near an all-time high? The upside benefit is much less than the downside risk. It's a house of cards poised to tumble. Well, it hasn't tumbled since 1929, but that's another
It
time.
will. It certainly will, and it will certainly come back up.
We'll be back. Welcome back, everyone. 5 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. It's Wednesday, September 4, 2019. Thanks to Mike McCormick for being in. And Shane Taubin, half man, half amazing in Vancouver. Tommy Gillespie, your morning mayor in the house. And it's a beautiful day today, 65 degrees outside currently. We're looking for a high in the 90s maybe today. So we'll see if that plays out. And well, let's talk about 5 things you need to know, Shane, because there are several of them. We've got the Hurricane Dorian along the Florida coastline. Man, oh man, that's a deal.
You know, the land of milk and honey, the Bahamas, so to speak, because it's so beautiful. And as they say in the Caribbean, you know, the water's gin clear.
Mm-hmm.
And, you lost me on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, you know, it's interesting because it's such a remarkable place. I've been there several times. So the population's around 400,000 people, and which is quite impressive. 12 billion in GDP and about 34,000 in per capita income. So it's not like it hasn't been a success as a country with tourism. It's a member of the Commonwealth, one of the 52 countries. So it used to be a part of the UK. Mm-hmm. But the amazing thing about the Bahamas in regards to what's going on down there is the capacity for people to recover, because this has been going on. This isn't new. I mean, hurricanes have come across the Atlantic from West Africa, you know, for eons, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They have. Yeah. You know, like we discussed, you know, no one's talking about the 1935, a hurricane that came and whacked Florida and so forth. Mm-hmm. So, you know, look, the Bahamas are coral reefs with a bunch of dirt on them. Mm-hmm. So they're like 20 feet above sea level.
Yeah.
The water surge from this was 22 feet. Mm-hmm. And 36 hours of 180 mile an hour, gust to 200 miles, constantly rate, of course, is going to be mass destruction. Having said that, now what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks is the world is going to decide who to blame to have to clean up for it because of global warming.
True.
You know this. Now,
I know that's coming, yeah.
Yeah, and the American Coast Guard's already been there to try and help people. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's one of those things you look at, Tom, and you and I are going to be talking about, because everyone's going to point out, this is America. They should should rebuild Bahamas.
Yeah, we've got plenty of money, so yeah.
Yeah.
What's our deficit? $1 trillion or something? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, let's go to the phones. 522 Talk is the number. 522-8255. Caller, you are on the air. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Lots of crazy things in the world.
Ain't that the truth?
A little different topic I wanted to pick your brains about.
Sure.
You know, for the last few years, we've been hearing a lot from, well, not a lot, but governments, banks, etc. Their greatest desire is to go to a cashless society. We've seen recently in India where they banned I don't know what it was, something equivalent to our $100 bill and this and that. And, I mean, to me, it's absolutely frightening that every transaction you made would be, at the behest of computers, government agencies, banks. And I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Well, we've seen the effect of power failures around various areas where, in fact, just over in Livingston, they had a controlled power outage while they upgraded their systems over there. And we were telling people, hey, you better start have a procedure to have hand receipts, and you better start teaching your employees how to make change, because otherwise you're gonna be in trouble. And I think the more we move to a cashless society, it is handy to just pop a card in, and you don't have to write a check, and you don't have to carry a bunch of cash around with you. I like that idea. I don't think I'd feel comfortable going to Walmart with a couple $100 in my pocket for groceries.
The most frightening thing is that every transaction you make is going to be monitored.
Oh yeah.
By the banks, by the government. Sure. What are you going to do when you want to hire the 14-year-old kid and give him $20 to cut your grass?
Well, that's true. Yeah, you're in violation of the Food and Drug Administration wage and hour laws.
It's just another way. Yeah. I mean, if it comes to that, I mean, we're screwed because and that's what they want, because they want to be able to control every aspect of their lives. The governments and the banks do, and money is their big weapon that they shield or wield, I should say, over our heads. And
what do you think, Shane?
Well, I don't disagree with the caller. The one thing that's fascinating about this whole discussion is that you're at a $21.5 trillion GDP economy. And most economists will tell you that a very strong 10% of that, or $2 trillion, is the black market, under the ground, under the radar. And, your government wants to get a hold of that if they can. And most of that $2 trillion black market is either done with the exchange of goods or goods for cash. So, that's one of the reasons they're pressing for this. I don't think they'll be successful in it, because Americans are. It's not a generational thing. It's just a conceptual thing that cash in the pocket, change in the pocket, is something people look forward to. And there's so many government services, when you think about it, that you require cash for, like meters. Although you could use a card, but people do use coin, and ATM machines, of course, give you that advantage. But a lot of machines that you go to get, bottled water and stuff like that. But anyway, having said that, the point is, black market in the United States is so significant that I think cash will always have a major play in that. It will exist. It's just it's a major play, as will be around. Yeah. It won't be significant, but it will be around.
Well, there's a couple other aspects to it also. One, for instance, let's take the scenario I used with the babysitter, the 20 or the lawnmower kid, $20, okay? So it's just like when you go to the gas station, you have that $20 in your pocket because you got paid for your labors. Right. Well, that money that you were paid has already been taxed.
Right.
So whatever you do with that $20 shouldn't make any difference.
No, it shouldn't.
And it's like you go to the gas station, you put $20 in there. Well, that $20 has already been taxed in your payroll, and then you go to the gas pump, and about whatever it is, about 45% of that $20 that goes into that gas pump is being taxed again. So you're getting taxed on your money again. But another aspect to this cashless thing is that, from my understanding, the power grid in the United States of America is pretty much stretched to its absolute maximum as it is.
Yeah, 110%.
Yeah.
And all it would take would be 2 days of a power grid failure, whether it was through war or some malfunction of some kind, and within 48 hours you would have absolute chaos in the streets. Nobody could buy gas, nobody could buy groceries. You couldn't scan a loaf of bread.
Yeah. You
couldn't go to the bank. And, I mean, it would, out here in the rural.
It would be a scary time, that's for sure. It would, it would bounce us back to the Stone Age, pretty much.
Yeah.
You'll be out there trading water for bread or salt for.
Right.
Well, and this alert, just alone with Dorian in all these southern states, what did they said? 7 days of food, water, medication, and cash, because ATMs may not be running. So make sure you got like cash on hand. So absolutely,
yeah. But
assuming you can buy anything with it,
exactly. You can't buy
I'm just
anything.
saying, if you're driving north, away from the fire, the coast
storm,
or west, and you got to stay at a hotel for $80 a night for 10 days, that's $800.
Yeah.
So you're going to have $2,000 or $3,000 in cash to maybe be able to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I've tried to check into motels before many years ago. Once in I think it was in Las Vegas. They wouldn't even take cash.
Yeah. They won't. Yeah, they'll.
But we're talking an emergency. We're just talking about. We're agreeing with you in an emergency.
All right,
you can't check in a hotel today without a credit card.
No, it would be pretty disastrous if that grid went south. Boy, it would devastate the whole East Coast. So thanks for the call. All right, well, let's take a quick break. Shane, what do you think?
You're the man.
All right,
whatever you say, Eagle Man.
All right, we'll be right back right after this. All right, welcome back, everyone. Had to play a little music there to run down the hall because Shane and I got to talking at the top of the hour, and you can't buy coffee, you can only rent it. So,
that's right.
So
that's how it works.
You got a little extra of Jessica there.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
So, well,
it's the case of the lease program.
I was going to say the dangers of talk radio. You're trapped here when nature calls, and I'm old. So anyway, let's go to our text line 478-8298. A cashless society is a tyrant's dream. That's why cash is king.
Agreed.
So, that's from Pete.
That's right.
Yeah,
and that goes for virtual cash too. When we were talking about stocks and your personal investments and stuff, that's virtual money. But having cash in that situation, as you discussed with Mike this morning, is important to have. Wherever you have it, your Roth or whatever, in your brokerage account, cash is king because if the market trades off, you can buy more. You always want to be able to buy something if you need it.
That's true.
You don't want to borrow to buy something you need.
From our text line 478-8298, Mike, it looks like no revision to trend in large cap stock margins, but the large cap stocks have had an enormously strong run since about 2004, since most large cap fund future investments with internal cash and the S&P SPX has a very slow growth forecast. I'm forecasting more on international developed value, U.S. small value, and emerging economies with the best PEG. Those sectors have a projected growth of over 4.5% over the next 7 years. I realize anything can happen, but last time you said it's hard to find good value right now, and no one knows for certain, but I believe these are the sectors that may hold the greatest potential. What do you think? You know about the big large cap stocks and all those things. So,
well, first of all, his timing's off because the low, of course, was in March of 2009, as we know, and that included large scale stocks. One of the reasons that I'm looking at this as a sell-off is because the global situation is in such stress that they want to come to buy American assets. But as we talked about, earnings per ratio is a good choice, around 16 to 17 right now. It's over 20 to 22 times earnings with these large cap stocks. Number three, the emerging markets are not in good shape until such time that these trade routes are established. That's why I bring up the whole thing about the English and American opportunity with the Commonwealth of 52 countries. Those are all emerging countries. If the U.S. and Britain put a trade deal together, including the Commonwealth, then that's a green light, I think, for emerging countries. Finally, until there's issues that are beyond our control that we talk about all the time, like this issue that's looks like it may be resolved in Hong Kong, but Iran, North Korea, Syria, and so forth, and another dozen examples. Foreign investment, I think right now with the strength of the U.S. dollar, maybe I would hesitate till I see what happens first in Brexit and the USMCA and the deal that Trump makes with China.
Okay. From our text line, 478-8298. Don't know what's going on Huffine. Traffic's backed up both lanes coming into town. Clear back to Love Lane. Drivers might want to take Stuckey, which is very busy also. So I'm not sure what's happening out there, but if you're coming into Bozeman on Huffine or going out, I guess, maybe more likely there's a collision at one of the intersections there because they have those on a regular basis. So unfortunately, those left turn arrows and the blinking arrows don't always communicate well.
Yeah.
So maybe we got somebody sitting in that parking lot calling in. So let's take a phone call. 522 Talk is the number. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hey, I just wanted to chime in a little bit there. If cash is king, which is debatable these days, it seems like your credit rating is queen, or maybe that might be king.
That's true.
You can't even rent an apartment anymore if you don't have a good credit rating.
Yep.
No matter how much cash you have.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
So we're slowly going there, regardless of.
Well, China is doing that. They've got social indicators that you can't go to school, can't get a job, can't do this, can't do that, unless your social media is up to speed and your basic way of living is acceptable. And
right.
You might be right. We may be headed that way because, your car insurance obviously is based on your credit rating. So is your, it's a demonstration
even when you take a new job, they check. They do a background check. They check your credit rating and everything. China is doing it predominantly, I believe, to save money. I mean,
they're just they're a controlled society.
2 billion people, so they need to keep some of them in the dumper so that they can use them as human fodder, which they do. And let's not forget they're the largest human rights violators on the planet.
Amen.
They were before they were brought into the World Trade Organization. They have been since they've been in the World Trade Organization, and it just seems to be becoming more and more threatening to people outside of their own country.
And now they're suing the U.S. in the World Trade Organization.
I think it's great, man. I mean, our dollar is so much stronger than theirs now. I mean, we should be able to buy back all that debt that Obama and Bush bought from them for all those years.
Oh, you'd think so, yeah.
I mean, just to say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 10 trillion times, shame on me.
Yeah,
so we all need to wake up and vote the right way next time around.
I'm with you there. Hey, thanks for the call. All right, appreciate it. All right, yeah, that's we were talking about being a cashless society. We were talking about the markets and all of that earlier, and it's interesting to see where we are going. The consumer confidence index is up. People are spending money, whether they're spending it on their credit card or whether they're spending it out of their paycheck. They're certainly spending money out there. So, the economy is pretty good. That unemployment's remained low. The jobs estimates and whatever will be out this Friday.
Wow.
So we'll know they're expecting we'll still stay at 3.7 unemployment and 150,000 jobs or so and whatever. But, as you point out regularly, Shane, we've got 15, 20,000 baby boomers retiring every day, somewhere
correct.
In that neighborhood. So in many cases, those jobs will be filled by automation or something else. But a lot of them are going to retire or are going to probably bring in people not as experienced as the people retiring.
That's right. And there's 10 more years to that generation, right?
Yeah, we got a long time for that to go. Yeah.
Yeah, 45 to 65. And it's a huge amount of wealth, 32 to 34 trillion in wealth that they own.
Yeah.
But the fascinating thing about all this, too, is that when we look at the effects of what is really important in the whole context of what we're talking about is, like you said, a consumer confidence. If the American worker doesn't want to buy, the world is going to go down the tubes. It's just going to happen because not only do we produce 25% of the global GDP, but we consume 25% of it.
Yeah.
Which means, we consume about 18 to 20% of what we create, but we consume another 5 to 8% of the world's stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable. Yeah. It's incredible.
No, we're getting there. Yeah. So, again.
Sam, by the way, let me just throw this in again. But yeah, sadly, the fascist government in China has successfully created a 400 million strong middle class. Okay, but they're not. It's not a consuming class.
No,
they're just working.
They're just they're paycheck to paycheck. In other words, pretty much. Once again, I want to remind you, one of our texters said there's a backup on Huffine, both lanes coming into town from backed up clear to Love Lane. So be careful out there. You may want to take Stuckey or some other Gooch Hill or whatever to go the other direction if you're trying to get into Bozeman. And hey, don't forget, tomorrow in the 7 o'clock segment, we are going to be giving away Bobcat tickets. So if you have our chat line, AM 1450 KMMS app, the chat app chat's right next to the listen button. All you have to do to enter is text the word soapbox to us. Just text soapbox to us. And we will also be giving away on phone because we know that not everybody has a smartphone or wants to use it or wants our app. But we hope that you'll download our app. But anyway, you have 2 chances to win. You can enter on your smartphone, and you can also listen at 7 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be giving away football tickets for this Saturday's game on the 7th. So we'll be right back with more right after this. 24 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday Hump Day, September 4th, 2019, 68 degrees outside, 91 is our predicted high for today. Sunny and warm all day, so enjoy it while you can, because next week we're going into the 60s. And not 1960, we're going into the 60-degree temperatures. So
that's right.
That's not going to be fun. So enjoy it while you can. So. Well, Shane, 5 things you need to know. We were talking about those. We talked a little bit about Dorian. The House of Commons, Boris Johnson, got a stab in the back from his own party, and they can't come to a deal yet. So 328 to 301, they voted to hold debate on a law that would block a no-deal Brexit. So what they're talking about is whether they can leave the European Union with an agreement of some kind of a trade agreement with the balance of the European Union, or whether they're going to go it with no trade agreement and just do it piecemeal as they go along, I guess. But anyway, they're supposed to leave by October 31st, so time's running out.
And the big problem is, excuse me for interrupting you, but the big problem is that under the deal with the EU that Britain has, or the UK has to do with Ireland.
Right.
And it's an open border now.
Yes.
And so in the deal, it says if there's no deal and you leave, you have to create a border again with Ireland because they may want to be part of the EU. Well, it's just not going to happen. This has been the big excuse for the last 2 years. Now, the Conservatives had a minority government, so because of the people from Ireland and so forth, members of the House, they joined them. They had a 1-vote majority. Well, now they don't.
Yeah. And
Nigel Farage, that started this, got reelected to the European Parliament, will lead this election, and the Brits will have a second chance to decide if they want to be part of the EU or not.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you're on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Well, good morning, Tom and Shane.
Hey, Pete. How you doing?
I'm doing good. The Chinese model is coming. It's just coming, and it's taking a different route in this country.
That's right.
That's what's going on, and I'm telling you, if you run a gun shop or whatever, something like that, the banks refuse to do business with you. if you're on the internet and that's where you're making your money, they don't like what you say or the words you use. You're shadow banned. You're defunded. I mean, it's coming, and that's
well.
What
I have to disagree with you, Pete. I'll tell you why. Okay, here's why. States have legalized marijuana. The federal government of your country says you can't deal. These people cannot open bank accounts because federally it's an illegal drug. So the billions of dollars of cash being generated by the sale of legal pot, Colorado, Washington, other places, is all in cash. And they have nowhere to deposit it. So the only thing they can do is put it into the market, through a trading account or buy Bitcoin, right? So believe me, that's a great example to what we're talking about.
Or buy a really big safe and put it in the back somewhere.
Wow, that's sort of scary.
Well, there's still, no matter what, they're limiting your choices. You can't. You should be able to do what you want.
What I'm saying to you, though, that people will get around that if they can't. And people will get around anything in a free society.
Mm-hmm.
Well, amen. Well, I just said it's not a free society. Okay, if it was, we wouldn't have none of this crap.
Well, that's true.
I mean, come on. When choices are taken away.
Yeah.
That's your freedom going out the window. When they remove your choices, that's your freedom going out the window. And I'm telling you, they're going to try and do it here. Whether or not they'll get it done totally, they're going to try it.
Yeah.
Believe me, they're going to try and do it. But and that's the way I look at things. There's choices. When your choice goes away, that there's a chunk of your freedom is going with it every time. And, we're looking at a government on everything. You can't have a conversation in your house without them knowing it.
Well, as you were saying last night, Pete, at 8 o'clock,
Right, exactly.
I disagree totally with that crap.
Exactly.
Tom and I were reviewing it with Google this morning.
That's right, yeah.
I bet that Pete calls in about this today.
Yeah, he's got to call in and whine.
Hey, when it's straight
Pete,
up, it ain't whining.
I love you, Pete.
That's true.
That's all I got to say about
all right,
that.
Man. All right,
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, we'll be listening to you later on today. So keep it clean.
Keep your hand on the sound button.
Yeah, we got a
curse word or two.
Yeah, right. We've got.
But we get in trouble for doing that.
Yeah, Shane's hacked your Alexa, so.
I ain't got no Alexa in my house. I'll tell you right now.
Well,
I don't have no smart products, no Alexa, none of that crap.
Well, when Shane was here, he bugged your house, so there you go. That was a clone of him at the Grand Tree. So he was out bugging your house while you were sitting there.
Yeah,
I could think of a lot of things to clone. I don't know if Shane is one of them, though.
I know. There ought to be a law, huh?
There definitely should be a law.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Yep, have a good one.
Talk to you soon. All right, let's take one more call, and we got to take a break. Caller, you on the air. What's going on?
Well, people need to remember that Ireland was the first country that tried to leave the EU, and they voted to leave the EU initially, and then they held a second vote.
And England may do a second vote, too.
No, I doubt it very seriously.
No, I doubt it, but they could.
Well, it won't be a direct vote. It'll be,
it'll be a parliament vote.
Yeah. Johnson's going to have to call an election, and the people will decide by who they put back into power, either the conservatives.
But you
got to remember, the conservatives are against leaving the EU because they're the upper class, and they want all the benefits.
Of course they are. But if Donald Trump offers Ireland and England a sweet Commonwealth deal, there will be a new trade bloc formed that will be way more lucrative than the EU.
Well, yeah, it's 52 countries, 53 counting the U.S. Huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will be.
That's almost twice the size of Europe, and it's all emerging markets.
including India.
Yep, that too.
Yeah, a backdoor to India.
And Africa. You could do Africa in there as well. Yeah.
Africa,
Sure.
And all these people need and want everything.
Yep, they do. That's for sure.
That would be the most desirable trade bloc in the world. And remember, Ireland wanted to leave initially, wanted to leave the EU.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for the call. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back in 90 seconds, less than 90 seconds. In fact, we'll be back in 87 seconds. 14 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, September 4th, 2018, 69 degrees outside, looking for a high of 91 degrees. Shane and Taubman on the line. Half man, half amazing. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor, and welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. From our text line, 478-8298, the largest owner of U.S. bonds is the U.S. itself, and I don't think we've disputed that, Shane. I mean,
No, that's right.
We are $22 trillion debt. We owe 60% of that to ourselves, I think, or something like that.
That's correct.
60 or 70%. I forget what it is exactly, but somewhere in that neighborhood.
$6 trillion's foreign owned.
Yeah.
And the Federal Reserve has got $4.2 trillion itself. So.
Yeah. So there we are. Yeah. Nobody's disputing that bonds are owned by the U.S. Something that I believe should be one of your topics of discussion. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's kind of long. That we've heard a little about is the aging power grid that should be done in phases if we're going to do it, but there hasn't been adequate planning for replacement. Since all of our retirement and banking are automated, we're going to need a hell of a lot of receipts. Documents could be forged, and it would be used to complex to unravel in a timely manner. So yeah, before we got computers, we dealt mostly in cash, and there was a lot of corruption and a lot of shading your taxes and putting money different places and all of that. So we'd be back in the Stone Age without that grid. And I believe the texter is correct that the only way to do it got to be done in phases. You couldn't just tear down the whole grid and start over. You'd have to pick and choose what is most valuable today.
Or set up just regional utilities. But, as
that
an example,
too,
an example of this, over 65% of banking now is done online.
Mm-hmm.
So if the grid goes down, all those people can't do any banking.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, these are the kinds of things, the shopping. How fast would Amazon collapse? Twitter, Facebook,
Yeah, you wouldn't
Google.
have. Well, you might still have a GPS satellite up there that could direct a drone, maybe, but I don't know for delivery.
No one can power their phones. You
wouldn't be able to order.
Yeah, that's right. It is. Yeah, and here's the big thing: 80% of the transformers are built in China.
Yeah. So.
And if you had 30% of the transformers in the U.S. blow up because of some EMP, and take it 20 years to replace them, oh my gosh, can you imagine? I mean, people are waiting a few days after a hurricane, 1 million people in Florida to get their power back. Can you imagine people going, what? We're going to have to wait 20 years to get our power back? It's like Trump in the windmill.
Yeah.
Well, Mabel, we won't be able to watch the 5 today because we got to wait 20 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They're going to be really old when they come back.
Yeah.
That'll be
you and I.
That'll be interesting, won't it? All right. We got to take another quick break. We got to get the Rush update in here and a couple other announcements and things. Hey, don't forget, coming up on Thursday, tomorrow, 7 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be giving away football tickets. If you want to enter, you can enter on your smartphone, AM 1450 KMMS, get our app, and right next to the listen button is the app chat. All you have to do is chat the word soapbox to us. Soapbox will put you in the drawing, and we'll also give away a couple by a set by phone, as we normally do, because we know that not everybody has a smartphone, so we want to be fair to everybody. So we'll take callers tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and we'll also have a drawing from all the people who app chat soapbox, the word soapbox, to us. So get that done, and you can win tickets to the Bobcat game. And we'll do the same thing next week. We'll have Bobcat tickets, and we're also going to have Jay Owen House tickets for his big show on the 14th. So we'll have VIP tickets for that, where you can go backstage and pet the tiger and all that stuff. So it should be a fun evening. So we'll have some VIP tickets. We'll have some regular tickets for you, and we'll be giving those away next week. So if you want, and along with more Bobcat tickets for home games in the future. So we'll have those coming up too. So. All right, we got to get the Rush update taken care of, so here's Rush. 4 minutes for the top of the hour from our text line, 478-8298. If corporations don't pay taxes, why do they spend millions buying politicians to get lower tax rates? Because it makes them more competitive on the global stage if they don't have to pay that much. Ireland's about 11%, I think. They're about the lowest, I think, in the world. And to be more competitive is the only reason. They, as I say, corporations don't pay taxes. They collect them, but they do pay property taxes, excise taxes, sales tax, and anything else that is taxable wherever they happen to be. And so that's it. Let's go. Yeah. Go ahead, Shane.
I was just going to say, they don't complain about Amazon and Facebook and Twitter not paying taxes, but they want to know about Trump. What taxes did he pay?
There you are. Let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, thanks for waiting. You're on the line. What's up?
Hello, Tom and Shane.
Hey.
Hey, it's Chris Griffin.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Here's a chance for you to tell me why I'm such an idiot.
Okay, no problem.
Well,
happy to do it.
I agree with that, and I'm sure you'll get texts about how big of an idiot I am. But yeah. I was talking to Shane offline about I'm at the age I'm considering my retirement fund.
Yep.
But I still have enough time that I can play with, and I'm looking at pulling the trigger on some Venezuelan deals because I believe 20 years from now the country's going to turn itself around, and it might be a smart investment to buy in early. And 20 years from now, when they're near their peak or well up from where I'm buying in, that might not be a bad idea. And I'll hang up and I'll listen to your answer offline or on the radio if you don't mind.
All right, sure, no problem. Yeah. I would. I don't think investing in Venezuela would be a bad deal. They got a lot of oil still. They're going to have oil, and their only problem is their government. And if they straighten that out, why not? So it kind of depends. As Shane points out every time, you got a socialist in charge now. You want to put a bigger socialist in charge after. So, but the bigger socialist might say, hey, I can do a lot of social programs if I start selling that oil to everybody. So, it might not be a bad investment.
Maybe following the Chinese and being a fascist works out better.
Yeah.
No, the issue is there are ways to invest in Venezuela without buying directly there. So you can't buy anything there directly. Obviously, they have the largest oil reserves in the world, so there would be ETFs or something of that nature that you probably could purchase but not until this is turned around. Not.
Okay. Yeah. All right. From our text line 478-8298, Chris Griffin is an idiot. I will just say he's not an idiot on this particular point.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you, Eagle.
Right. Say goodbye, Shane.
Goodbye, Mayor. I look forward to talking with you and everyone tomorrow morning. Be happy, be safe, and God bless.
All right. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us this hour. Thanks to all the callers, texters, and everybody for participating in the show. Don't forget, if you missed any part of our shows, you can catch them on our website at kmmsam.com or on your smartphone at AM 1450 KMMS. Just look for Tom and Shane Podcast, and you can hear any of our past show. We're up to 1,440 downloads so far, so we'll see everybody tomorrow, 6 a.m., and give away some tickets.